America is the greatest country in the world. Welcome to our special right here on the First TV, Media Lies and Propaganda, the Lion Media. Where do we even begin? It's only an hour. We could do 24 hours straight on this, nonstop. I feel like it's like what's the last line in John, the book of John? It's like Jesus did a bunch of other things, and if every one of them were written down, even the whole world would not have room for the books that could be written. You could go on forever and ever. All the books in the world could be written on media lies and propaganda. My concern isn't so much on the media lying, and we'll get to that later, but do people even know they're being manipulated? Real Clear did a poll, one of these approval polls of Trump, which I never pay attention to, but this one is interesting because it broke it down by demographic group. And every demographic group by age supports Trump. Every age, even young people. But the only age group that doesn't are people over the age of 70. And they really don't. It's like negative 14 for Trump. What's that about? How'd that happen? Well, there's probably a bunch of reasons, but I think one of the biggest ones is that age group watches the most TV news. If you start your day with the ladies from The View, if you start your day with Whoopi and Joy Behar, and you end it with David Muir, and you fill the middle with the cawing of MSNBC all day long, anyone will go crazy. Like they should do that at Guantanamo Bay for terrorists. That's crazy. People do it willingly on themselves. But if you had a steady stream of that nonsense as part of your diet, you'll think anything. As Jesse Kelly has said, you'll think the sky is green, if that's what they tell you. You'll think that Kilmar Abrego Garcia is a wonderful Maryland father. And then Trump will show you a picture of his MS-13 tattoos on his knuckles, and you'll say, oh, that's Photoshopped. Because that's what the media said. The media said it was Photoshopped. This was Trump's one. But look, okay, keep that picture up, guys. Can you put that picture up one more time? This is so crazy to me. Okay, so Kilmar's tattoos. Marijuana leaf, smiley face, cross, skull, cruces in Spanish, starts with a C, third letter. That's the 3. MS13. The letters above it in Times New Roman font, size 12, that's what the Trump administration wrote on top of it. It's like a piece of evidence in front of a courtroom. They captioned the symbols on his knuckles. But that's what the media is saying is Photoshopped. Therefore, the whole thing's Photoshopped, and it's all fake, and Kilmar's a great guy. Here is Trump's interview, his 100-day interview in the Oval Office on ABC.
Murderers, criminals in this country, we have to get them out, and we're doing it. By law. And you'll pick out one man, but even the man that you picked out, he said he wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute.
Well, wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshopped.
That was Photoshopped, Terry. You can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. I picked you, Terry. Hey, but you're not being very nice. He had MS-13 tattooed.
Right. We'll agree to disagree. I want to move on to something else.
Terry, do you want me to show you the picture?
I saw the picture.
And you think it was Photoshop? Well,
here we go.
Don't Photoshop it. Go look at his hand. He had MS-13.
He did have tattoos that can be interpreted that way. I'm not an expert.
Okay, so it's a 3-minute clip. Trump won't let him go on. It's incredible, that moment right there. So can you guys throw the picture back up again? So they're saying that because the Trump administration wrote in Times New Roman size 12 font, MS-13, therefore that photo is altered, therefore it's Photoshopped, therefore it's fake, therefore he's not a gang member, and he's actually a Maryland father. The analogy I came up with, we got a lot to do, I'll keep this quick. If you went whale watching, and you're you're on the boat, and someone takes a picture of you and your wife, and the whale is behind you, and the whale jumps out of the water right when you took the picture, that'd be amazing. And you put that on Facebook, and you put a caption over it, you wrote, wow, So there's a picture of you and your wife and a whale jumping out of the water. You wrote, wow, and you put it on Facebook, and people said, that's fake. You'd be like, well, no, it's amazing. It looks fake, right? Because the whale jumped out of the water. It's crazy timing, right? And they're like, no. The word wow isn't floating in the ocean. You altered that. Therefore, you never went whale watching. You're like, oh, you idiot. Yeah, of course that part's altered. But that doesn't negate, the M above the marijuana leaf does not negate the marijuana leaf tattoo. Like that level of deception, to me, it's not stupidity. It's way, way, way worse than that. And again, it's not about Kilmar. Who cares about Kilmar? It's about the people lying about the picture, but really more than that, it's about the people who fall for it. How could you fall for that? And again, it's not about Kilmar. He was just the deceit of the week. They're working overtime every day to find a new Kilmar. Right? It was like the day after when Kilmar fell apart, that whole storyline. Then it was, oh, America deported a 2-year-old U.S. citizen. Defend that, MAGA. You're like, all right. The boy's mom was deported and the mom took her daughter with her. And if we didn't let the mom take her daughter, then the media would be saying we separated families and we're holding a 2-year-old hostage away from her mother. We ripped them apart. And AOC would be crying about it. And we'd be cruel. You can't win with these people. My producer says we have a clip of Charlemagne talking about this. I haven't seen this yet, but go and play it.
Louisiana judge says a 2-year-old U.S. citizen has been deported with no due process. On Friday, a toddler was sent to Honduras with her mother who had been deported. Now, it is important to note that the mother does not have legal status in the United States.
I did not know until you said it about the 2-year-old. I mean, I knew about the 2-year-old getting deported, but all the news reports just kept saying that a 2-year-old got deported. I didn't know that the mother had got deported because she wasn't a citizen. I mean, I didn't know that.
Okay, good on him for realizing that and admitting that. Yeah, that's the story. We didn't deport the 2-year-old, deported the mom. And the 2-year-old went with the mom. Listen, the media propaganda, it's really bad for our country. We all know that. And it's not about just making it harder for conservatives to win elections. It's really bad for people's souls. It's bad for our souls. It's bad for our lives. It's bad for just people living together. It's bad for relationships. It's really deep. It's not just a political thing anymore. So when Trump won, let's go back to November. Trump won, people were in max freak out mode, of course, about it. Very worried about what's going to happen in a Trump second term. So I wrote down, back in November, I wrote down a lot of their fears. So now that time has passed, we can see if any of those fears have come true. Because this is all the media. These fears came from somewhere, right? They came from the media. People in the media made these up. All the talking heads, right? Now, and then people just they were fed a steady diet of panic and fear-mongering all the time. Now, if fears did come up not from the media, if they didn't originate from the media, but they just came from somewhere else, a media's proper role is to calm those fears and say, hey, this actually isn't what happened, here's the truth. But they didn't do that. Of course, they fanned them. And they drove people crazy. Like literally, people just believe crazy things. So I just made a list of a bunch of the fears here. That Trump would ban contraception, end voting, put troops into immigrant neighborhoods, set up a network of camps for immigrants, not just illegal, but immigrants all over, start World War III. These are all from the opinion writers of the New York Times. They made a video before the election with very scary sounding music about what's going to happen with the second Trump presidency. This is 5-time New York Times bestselling author Malcolm Nance. He thinks that under Trump, there'll be loads of people dying at Trump's hands. Daughters, wives, children, citizens, school shootings, pregnancy deaths, easily cured diseases, free hunting season for blacks, immunity for cops. Muslims and Latinos will definitely die in mass deportation roundups and camps. Hillary said that it will be the end of democracy in the United States. He's going to pull America out of NATO, create unimaginable wreckage, shut down the free press, throw people in jail who disagree with him. Rachel Maddow thought that she herself would be put in an internment camp. Do you see how the media is fanning all? You see this? Trans people won't be legally defined as human beings anymore. We were told gay people won't be able to love who they want to love. The National Weather Service will be abolished. Special education will be canceled. Social Security will be eliminated. Women won't have access to their bank accounts. Women won't be allowed to get credit cards. Women won't be allowed to have driver's licenses. Now, it's only been 100 days. We still have some time to get the good things across the fence. I'm joking. No time for misogyny here, Slater. Come on. Tim Walz said that Trump is going to monitor all pregnancies, outlaw miscarriages, end voting, ban books, make protest illegal, outlaw the polio vaccine, bring back the whooping cough. That one's according to NPR. Trump's gonna bring back the whooping cough. Here's comedian Jimmy Kimmel, very, very, very upset.
Let's be honest, it was a terrible night last night. It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go, for healthcare, for our climate, for science, for journalism, for justice, for free speech. It was a terrible night for poor people, for the middle class, for seniors who rely on Social Security, for our allies in Ukraine, for NATO, for the truth.
Fanning the flames of fear and hatred. Just turn these people off. Turn them off. They have beclowned themselves enough. Don't get caught up in it. Don't get beclowned by being a part of it. If someone just tells you something over and over and over again, it's not true. Over and over and over again. And now we proved it's not true. Just time has proved it's not true. Why would you keep listening to them? Why do people? Does people feel like, oh, at least I'm fighting against the injustice of the... You're not. You're just, people are telling you lies. Now, of course, people can have opinions and agree and disagree on things. Of course. It's the fear-mongering that needs to stop. Turn the legacy media off. They do not deserve your time. Friends do not make friends go crazy. Friends don't make friends hysterical. That's not what a friend does. If you're ever feeling anxious about something, you call a friend so they can calm you down. Speak truth into the moment. That's what people who love you do. You would never call someone and they make you more hysterical. That's not a friend. But we turn on the TV all the time, which makes us even more hysterical. And people do it over and over again because they actually hate you. Turn it off. They do not deserve your time.
President Biden's decline and its cover-up by the people around him is a reminder that every White House, regardless of party, is capable of deception. But being truth tellers also means telling the truth about ourselves. We, myself included, missed a lot of this story, and some people trust us less because of it. We bear some responsibility for faith in the media being at such lows.
I think the reporters covering this White House were too willing to take the Biden team's word for it.
This is not a media failure. This is a failure of the Democratic Party. And I just sort of the virtue signaling that some people have done to try to say that the media missed this story. They didn't miss this story. The people at fault are Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Jill Biden, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, every elected member of Congress.
Interesting. I want to go to the great Julie Banderas, of course, from Fox News, author of the book, A Monumental Mistake, which I look forward to chatting about in just a second. But Julie, first, hello, by the way. How are you?
Hi, great to meet you here via phone.
I wanted to ask you what the most egregious example is of media lies and propaganda, but we kind of set you up for a topic right there with that. Are they trying to have a come to Jesus moment here where they recognize their own failures and all this, or what was that there?
I think the biggest media lie was the Biden cover-up and his cognitive decline, and media members, especially in those in the liberal media, mainstream media space, where they actually sat down, they did face-to-face sit-down interviews with President Biden. They themselves saw that this was a president who was lacking in memory, he was lacking in cognitive ability and physical ability, and just overall awareness. And the fact that they hid that is bad enough. But they protected the White House. They protected Biden because they didn't want Donald Trump in office. And so as a result, the Democratic Party ended up losing the White House because they waited until the very last minute to finally come to terms with their cover up. And then they throw in Kamala Harris at the very last minute, and it cost them the election. That's the price that not only the liberal media is responsible for, but that the Democratic Party had to pay for the cover up. So as far as media lies, I think the cover up of President Biden and an pending investigation will be the big story, at least that I'll be covering. I don't know about the mainstream media. I doubt you'll hear the story there.
Yeah. So Chuck Todd blamed the White House, but it's not just the White House, right? The White House can lie all day. What's the responsibility of the Chuck Todds to then what? Do real journalism or use your brain or what?
Right. Well, and that's the problem. Okay. So it's the Chuck Todds of the world that came out later and admitted that the liberal media was afraid to reveal Biden's cognitive decline because anything that they could possibly say or do that would shine a negative light on Biden would essentially shine a positive light in the direction of Donald Trump. And the liberal media did everything in their power to make sure that they would do nothing to empower Donald Trump, even if it meant lying and being involved in what I would consider to be the biggest media cover-up of all times.
Maybe we can move away from that specific story, but just in general, what do you think motivates most people in the media for lying and deceiving? Is it all political motivation? Or what? Like what else is happening here at the root of it, you think?
It's 100% politically motivated. I mean, I remember watching the news growing up, in the Tom Brokaw, the Peter Jennings days. And Peter Jennings happened to be an idol of mine. And, people may say that he was liberal, but growing up, I didn't really see his politics. I saw him as a calm and steady force in the news, especially when there was breaking news. I would turn on ABC and I would watch Peter Jennings because he had this calm, empathetic, just professional way of delivering the news, and people turned to him, especially during grim times, to get breaking news in the country. And that's what we turned our news on, to find out what was happening in the world, not to find out their opinions, not to find out who hates who, not to hear them bash certain politicians that are on certain sides of the aisle. But now it's very different. And I understand that cable news has obviously dominated the opinion news cycle. I believe that the rest of the media, the mainstream media, the broadcast networks like ABC, CBS, NBC, and so forth, have sort of followed suit. But the bottom line is that the news is supposed to be impartial. And we haven't seen that in the mainstream media in many, many years. And that's why I work at Fox News Channel, because I present both sides. You don't get both sides. I could sit here and speak for hours about how many stories I currently talk about that the other media is not. I mean, I just covered yesterday a story about a trans athlete in Long Island, a 14-year-old girl who is socially identifying as a male, has not done any hormones, has not actually transitioned to be a boy, but she is socially identifying as a boy and is being allowed to compete on a girls' track team and use the girls' locker room. Will you see that story in the news? No, you will not. She, in fact, is going to end up costing the school district in Shirley, New York, $15 million in federal grants, because that goes against Trump's policy. Again, that story will not be covered in the news. And it's not about the anti-trans movement. That's something that the media is also lying about. It's not that. It's about fairness in sports, fairness in women's sports. A 6-foot-tall 15-year-old biological boy should not be able to play against girls his age, or I should say her age, because she identifies as a girl. Those are the stories that you will not hear from the media. So by not covering them, as far as I'm concerned, that's lying to the public.
Do the people, let's say people on the left in the media, do you think they intentionally seek to deceive? Like, do they know what they're doing? Or is it a laziness or a negligence, or I'm just going along to get along, whatever?
It's not negligence. It's not lazy. It's all purposeful. I mean, when we walk into a newsroom, or as a journalist, as a news anchor, we walk in, we have editorial meetings, okay? We go through the big stories of the day, oftentimes Associated Press and Reuters. Those are the articles. Those are the, a lot of the media publications that the news uses when they do get their editorial. Those news agencies are liberal as well, but you can see what happens every day. You can read. News journalists are constantly reading. They pick and choose what stories to put in their newscasts. So every morning when Fox News Channel has what's called the War Room meeting in the morning, it's at 9 a.m. every single morning, and they go through what stories will be told that day. The other stations are doing that as well, but they're purposely omitting particular stories because it does not suit their political motivation.
Yeah. I've always said the biggest bias is what they don't cover, as you articulated with your story.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Julie, it's great to talk to you. Tell us about your book. Tell us about your kids' book, and what's the lesson that you want kids to learn from this book?
Okay, so I'm a mom of three. And the one thing that is most important to me and always has been so important to me from the time they were babies, and I watched, toddlers from other families talking back to their children, I said to myself, no, that needs to be stopped early. And my book is about respect. And essentially, this book is called A Monumental Mistake. And if you are a parent at home, anyone who's watching, how often would you say that you watch a child disrespect somebody else, whether it's another kid, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a peer, whether it's a stranger? It doesn't matter. How often do you see children disrespect each other? I would say all the time. And that's something that's bothered me so badly. And so now, as an author, I've partnered with Brave Books, this Christian conservative book publishing company that puts out, positive stories, teaching children values and morals. And the one thing that we need to do as parents, first of all, not only is to teach our children respect, but the best way to get through to them is through stories. Children learn and absorb the best lessons through stories. And so that's the story of my book, to teach children not only to respect each other, but to respect those who came before them, to respect history, to respect where we are today and why. That, to me, is the single most important responsibility that every parent in this country has. And I believe a lot of parents are dropping the ball. I see there is so much hate and divisiveness on the streets, political divide in this country, and it's time for parents to step up. Otherwise, our next generation is going to be literally spoiled. It shouldn't be an old-fashioned thing to say, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. When's the last time you heard a child say, no, ma'am, yes, ma'am? I'd say we need to go back in time a bit and sort of erase the hatred that I'm seeing in this country. And the only way to do that really does start at home with parents, and start them as young as possible and teach them how to respect.
One of our favorite lines is Henry David Thoreau, there's thousands hacking at the branches of evil for every one striking the root. And you hit the root there with the respect, because that ties into everything. Every political thing.
It really does. Everything. And I mean, my kids go to private Catholic school, but in the public school system, it's out of control. I mean, parents first of all, parents do not come down on their kids. They do not punish their children. Children are allowed to do whatever they want these days. There's no punishment. There's no accountability. So, in the Catholic school system, it is a little more strict, and children are not allowed to curse, number one. I mean, cursing is disrespectful. My children are not even allowed to say the word hate. They're not allowed to say stupid. So when they really dislike something, they say, I H-word that. Most people would think they're talking about another H. No. So I raise my children in a very conservative manner where we show each other respect. We do not speak to each other. We do not speak to our peers that way. And that is, I think, the single most important thing. If you see people at these protests, protesting, anti-Israeli protests, these are hateful protests. Teaching hate is what our parents are doing. And parents are now teaching the next generation to hate. We need to teach acceptance, and we need to accept our divisions. In other words, we need to accept the fact that sometimes we're not going to disagree with one another. It doesn't mean to hate them. Because you're a Republican, I don't hate you. Because you're a Democrat, I don't hate you. We agree to disagree. Whatever happened to that? Why can't we just have healthy disagreements in this country anymore? It doesn't seem to happen, and it starts at home. And that's why I think it's so important. Our children are watching, and we need to teach them early on so that we can create a healthier generation to come.
I love it. That's great. Go get the book, A Monumental Mistake. It's one of the Brave Books.
Bravebooks.com, by the way. Bravebooks.com. And by the way, right now there's a special, because I do have another book on perseverance. If you go on Bravebooks.com, you purchase a subscription, then you get a monthly book, a wholesome monthly book put out by Brave Books, and you get my 2 books for free. So that's a promotion that they have on Bravebooks.com right now.
Bravebooks.com. The great
Correct.
Julie Banderas, Fox News, of course. A Monumental Mistake. And start there. Julie, great to talk to you. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.